All right, everyone. The other day, Pelosi asked Trump to delay his State of the Union address. She's like, well, the Secret Service is going to miss a paycheck, and this, hampers their ability to keep you safe for some reason. Until the government's reopened, you should delay the State of the Union. Now, I believe, if my civics lessons were correct, he's actually required once in a while to give a State of the Union. There's no reason to delay it. The Secret Service is not going to be hampered. You missed a paycheck, therefore you can't do your job. Now, Dan Bongino came out, actually. He's a former agent from the Secret Service, and he's like, no, this is just an insult. You're insinuating that the Secret Service will be unable or unwilling to do its job because they missed one paycheck. That's not the way that it'll work, Miss Pelosi. And so he's actually calling on her to apologize. I mean, she's not going to, obviously. Politicians don't really apologize. It's a partisan issue. At this point, like, half the country is incensed that the government is shut down, thinks it's a horrible thing, it's nightmarish, it's dystopian, Trump is literally Hitler. The other half either doesn't care or they support it, and they're like, yeah, give him his fucking wall funding. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes out. Her first main speech in Congress. What does she say? First time that she's speaking in front of Congress there in her official capacity, what does she say? Oh, this isn't really about the border wall. No, that's not it at all. It's about a dysfunctional government and the casting away of sort of the way government's supposed to work, the destruction of the norms of our government. The norms of our government, we've had shutdowns before. Obama had a 16-day long shutdown, which was at the time the longest in history. Some people had a mental breakdown ultimately over the issue and thought it was the end of the country or some stupid shit like that. What happened? What ended up changing? It shut down for a while, negotiations happened kind of sort of, and then it reopened. Big fucking whoop, dude. I don't care if the government stays shut down for like 100 years. It's not affecting the average person. I realize that some government workers therefore miss paychecks. Well, why don't you talk to the Democrats and say, hey, don't you think that we can just give him his wall funding? Don't you think that that one portion that he's asked for can be given to him for something, a major promise that he made those that voted for him, that elected him in the first place? A majority of the people in a majority of the states wanted him. That was the primary issue. Build the wall. Build the wall, tax reform, which he's already delivered, and trade deal negotiations, which he's already well underway on. He's made progress with China. He already basically got through in Europe, and with NAFTA, that's been overhauled with the USMCA. China's the only main one left at this point, and of course he scraps the TPP, refuses to sign. He's done 2 out of 3 of the big things, but the wall is important to some of his core fans. Now, there was a polling has been conducted. I'm not 100% sure if I particularly trust this, because, again, aggregate, more important than single poll, showing a slippage of his support among some of his core fan base. I can actually believe that. The reason that makes sense is because there's no wall. Why do you think he's fighting so hard for it? Look, again, most of the country wants comprehensive border reform. That's not going to happen so long as the Democrats are willing to hamstring the government, which is exactly what's happening. They are refusing to give him the funding on a main installation of border defense that they themselves as a party have suggested doing over and over throughout the last few decades. Democrat and Republican presidents have always said, well, there's a big problem at the border. People are coming in illegally. They can't do that. Obama, one of his first main speeches, we're going to, solve this issue. Even into his second term, he talked like that. He sounded exactly like Trump. No Democrats ever said he was a bad person or that he was racist, which would have been very funny for the Democrats to say that about their own black president, but nobody had a problem with the idea of having a better border security system. Bush had his electronic border bullshit, which has been kind of revived and is now part of the Democrats' proposal after they called it problematic when Bush wanted to sign off on it. Remember that? Remember the electronic wall that Bush said he wanted to build? He's like, well, we don't need a physical barrier. We just need more surveillance drones and video cameras and dystopian shit like that. Really, he probably wanted to aim it on the inside of the border to keep tabs on people because he's an authoritarian. But we'll just, watch everything 24/7 on the monitoring centers. And it'll cost less. It'll only be a couple billion. Now the Democrats are proposing reviving that program they killed in the first place as a counter to Trump wanting to build a physical barrier. And it's like, what are you people talking about? It's like 90% of you are the same Democrats that have been sitting there rotting in in Congress since the Bush admin anyway. You're the exact same people that struck it down. Now you want it all of a sudden as a counteroffer to Trump. It'd be very funny if Trump said, okay, yeah, that sounds all right. Well, I'll give George W. a pat on the back for giving you the idea. And he should come out and do that, by the way. You should give credit where credit's due so that then they can swallow Bush's cock a little bit more. Pelosi is not just insulting the Secret Service, though. She's insulting the intelligence of the whole United States. It's a personal insult to myself, to all of you, and everyone else in this fucking country, and I'll tell you why. The Democrats have proposed similar measures for decades. For them to suddenly pretend it's a problem, it can't be fun. The Democrats, of all people, not wanting to spend money on something. Oh my God. Now, other than the military, they've never suggested reducing or getting rid of any penny of spending in this country. All of a sudden, they want to roll over and play dead when it comes to the border, even though it's a main problem now. The problem now is not slow trickle of people that are carrying their kids across the Rio Grande. Now the problem is that because you've incentivized people politically and socially to storm the border, you've got groups of thousands of people approaching the border on a regular basis. That's now the problem. How are you going to stop them? Unless you have a good wall there, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder. What are you going to do? Open live fire on them, kill them all or something? Especially when they did exactly what I suggested would happen, which is they'll take the women and children, put them in the front. And then you'll have to fire tear gas, and all of the cameras, what they're capturing is a group of women and children getting tear gassed by U.S. Border Patrol. Well, wonderful optics there. See, if there was a better wall in these parts, you wouldn't have that problem, because women and children aren't very good at climbing 40-foot steel fences. Not going to happen very easily. Now, you don't need the tear gas at that point. It'd be really funny. No, Pelosi's full of shit, and she knows full well that his security detail is perfectly capable of working through a shutdown. It's like, okay, the president's going to be in danger by giving a speech. Why? It's not like he's going out in the middle of the jungle to do it. It's not like the president has to hike up Mount Everest in order to give the State of the Union. He has to, he's going to be surrounded. There's D.C. police around. The fucking military has a presence all over D.C. He's got his own security detail. Some of these people in Congress have private security people that could help out. Thousands and thousands of people swarming around the area, loaded down with every gun you can possibly imagine. Fucking anti-air systems dotting D.C.'s skyline. You're telling me that the president is endangered because he gives a 10-minute fucking speech? That doesn't make any sense at fucking all. It's not like the president stops existing during the shutdown and only starts existing to be a target because he gives the State of the Union. He's already there. What, he's supposed to cloister himself behind a barbed wire fence in the middle of the Oval Office and hunker in the bunker with a helmet on during the shutdown so that nobody does anything bad to him because the Secret Service stops existing? That's crazy talk. Does Pelosi even know how the Secret Service operates? Does she know anything? I'm scratching my head. And people are like applauding her and stuff. Oh, yeah, she's right. Yeah, because they're not getting their paycheck. Again, they'll be able to do their jobs. You know, if you're so worried about the Secret Service missing their paycheck, fucking reopen the government. She knows how to do that. Just give Trump his wall funding. It's a drop in the bucket of the budget. It's something that the majority of Americans do support. I do not trust polling that says that they don't. I think that's bullshit. I think that those polls are asking something a little skewed, like, do you support killing little children at the border? Or do you support locking out all immigrants because you're a racist? Or yeah, I don't think the majority of Americans are going to vote yes on your poll. I would love to see the language methodology that's actually employed there. That's about all. Peace out.